That's why, and we here on the 3 Count Podcast.
I'm in the club, baby, grind on me.
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering, and now I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And by now, with this being season 5 in our 300 and something episode, I would just hope you say with me, I am your Sherpa, because like your tribal chief, acknowledge me. But like all good people, you gotta have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. And that's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering. So who's entering? You can find this person at MCW, at Fight. You can find him at SWA. You can find him at 5-Star WCWA. He is sexy. He is blessed. He is. You can find this man with the Duffel Bag Boys, or you can find this man on the block. He is Ykies.
Why? Ykies. Also can find me with Sexy and Blessed Supremacy and your current one half of the WDWA Tag Team Champion. What's up, everybody?
Yo, man, how are you doing, bro?
I am blessed. I let you know. They say I'm sexy and blessed, but I'm really blessed.
It's funny because we met a few times, right? But we actually met at Fight. And then we were at Loki, like having a fun conversation, and then just slowly we just started finding ourselves like around like the same kind of areas with like SWA. And then, I see you every once in a while, just running with WDWA, like you said, like one half of the tag team champions. And then just like randomly, I just see you pop up at other places that I'm like, just happen to be there at the show. So I was like, yo, of course I'm bringing Ykies on the show. Like, there's no doubt. Like, we have to have a fun conversation. Like, we have great energy. So yeah, I was like, let me grab this dude. And then, you work at MCW, and I was like, of course I'm gonna end up talking with him because we have a lot of fun.
Yep, and that's why.
Go ahead.
I was about to say I definitely been making my way. Like I haven't been, wrestling that long, but I'm hungry, so like you're gonna see me everywhere that I go. Everywhere that I see that I could go, I'm gonna go.
Hey, and we can respect that too. Because is that where you trained out of? Was at an MCW?
I do. I train at MCW. That's my training school, homegrown talent.
Nice. That was the one thing that I was always like, I saw you and I saw you working there, and I was like, okay, well, usually like those kind of places, like when you train there, like they usually like their students are all there, and we've had a few guys who have trained or been attached to MCW like on the podcast. So that's why I was like, oh, cool, we get to chat it up with somebody and see how they enjoy their time there.
Yeah.
So, I do, okay, knowing that you train at MCW, I definitely want to give like a big shout outs, big thoughts, big loves, big prayers. We probably, you have a mutual friend with Dig Dynamo, and I want to give like a lot of love, a lot of respect to my man. Recently we lost him. Just a great dude. I love Brandon. And I just it hurt so hard when I heard about what happened, because I don't know if you knew this or not, but we used to work together at Merit when I was a personal trainer in Baltimore, and so losing him was like losing like a piece of my heart, because I was so attached to him and his energy that he had.
He definitely had a lot of energy. And rest in peace to Brandon. As you may know him as Dick Dynamo. Or Boom Hayden.
Boom Hayden. That's how I met him originally, was Boom Hayden. I met him at 1CW, and I remember like going, like him and JB were tagging together, and he said to me, he's like, yo, what's your character? I was like, oh, it's like Deadpool, like I'm a mercenary, just like cracking jokes and stuff. He's like, me too. He's like, but I'm like, I'm a mercenary too that cracks jokes, but with like Metal Gear. It's like, I see that, bro. I see that. Like he was just in all rocker gear, and I was like, I love this dude. This dude is so much fun.
Hmm.
He had his mullet.
Oh yeah, that mullet, it was something different.
Yo, it's a whole different world for him, man. I loved watching him. Banged his own drum, and I remember running into him again at Merritt, and he had just applied, and I sat in the back, and one of my bosses was like, "Hey, uh, I have this guy. He's a pro wrestler. I don't know if you know him or not, but maybe you can like talk to him and see like how you vibe with him." And I walked back there. I was like, "Dick," and he was like, "What's up?" And I was like, "Oh my god, yeah, you definitely got to be here." And I remember him getting hired and then just having fun talking to him about everything. So yeah, I wanted to share that because it was so cool to be able to like interact with someone's spirit like that.
Mhm.
But yo, we gotta talk about you. So I want to know, who is Ykies?
Well, Ykies, I'm the same person inside the ring as I am outside the ring. Probably just like not as, I don't know. It depends on how you catch me. What time of day you get it because I got a lot of energy, but I'm also a person that's I guess I know I'm real, I'm confident, I'm still a human being. I'm a spiritual guy, God's child. I'm a father, I'm an uncle, I'm a brother. You know, I
Yeah,
come from hard times and I'm right here starting from the bottom. Got it out the mud, getting my dreams coming true as I go.
I like it. And it's one of those things too, man. It's like if you find people in the wrestling business that are like really driven, they usually like have like a fun story, and I say fun, kind of loose terms, but it's an interesting story to tell about who they are in this world, and like seeing you, and then like my boys, pure ignorance, like seeing Chaz and Prince, and then Andino, and knowing all those guys, and
Yeah.
just like growing up with them with like the last 5 years, like it's been a trip to watch all the talent that like gets like sucked to them, and then like watching them blossom from there.
They are talented. I could relate to all of them.
Yeah,
Especially like when I got to fight, I was like, whoa. Like when I had got to fight, it opened my eyes. Like I was like, this is the place right here. It feel like home. It feel like I feel comfortable. I feel like it helped me, I guess, like bring out my confidence more than I would at MCW just in the training because I don't know, it's just something different when you around like culture and different types of culture and everybody coming together. So like
yeah,
we all like Fight is a black owned company. It got a majority is African American or any of that type of descent. So it's like you could be you could be how you really want to be silly and it's not being offensive or anything. And it's just like, okay, like it's feel free and it's like that part.
that's the thing about like fight has this ability to bring out like the best in people regardless of like race or creed or sexual orientation, right? Like they just want to put on banger matches, tell fun stories, and then appreciate, like you said, appreciate the black culture, but then also like show appreciation to other people too. Like I
Yeah.
remember they did a whole pride show where they just wanted to showcase like everybody under the sun that was affiliated with a pride with pride. So it's definitely a blast to be a part of. And and I know they're gonna kill me for saying this, but Kazama and Johnny Cross like are doing such an amazing job with that whole thing. Like I always wish them nothing but the best because I'm so appreciative of what they do. But let
Mhm.
me ask you a question for you, because we are on this subject. Um, let me ask this. How I'm going to ask this. What do you want to accomplish in black wrestling to put your inch on? raising the bar.
Wow. Um, it's so crazy because like right now, I feel like black wrestlers and black athletes is taking a whole different type of spotlight, and ways have definitely been paved the way. Like from Mark Henry, Teddy Long, the referees, to Leo Rush, Patrick Velveteen Dream, Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams, even having Sexy Red up there, like like it's definitely like those have always been my dreams. Like MVP, I cannot forget MVP or Shelton Benjamin or R Truth. That's what everybody be comparing R Truth, but and the Street Profits as well. So it just like I feel as though my purpose as well as not just like my culture, but it plays a big part in it. I feel it's like a deep question.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. Like I know for me, me and Dino and I we talk about this a lot, right? Representing the Hispanic culture because like everybody has like their thing where they want to showcase what somebody has to be, right? So like when you think of like Latin wrestlers, you think of like luchadors, right? Or like gangbangers or like they got to do the salsa dancing, right, to get over because that's just, oh yeah, sabes, vámonos, baila, like all that kind of stuff. And like, or you think of the dudes who are like Scarface, right? Seeing like the big gangsters, and like, we're like, bro, but the culture is so much more than that, and it's just something to
Yeah.
be appreciative of. And so, like, someone like me, like here I am, I run with PI every once in a while, but then when I'm not, like I'm just this big Deadpool type character, mercenary who's out here having fun, kicking the hell out of people, right? Kicking the shit out of people. I don't care what you want to call it. But just enjoying like what I'm doing and then, putting on my own flavor of character to it. So I think it's very interesting that like I want people to know that like, while I am like I'm a wrestler, I'm very proud of telling people that I'm a Panameño as well. And I am very brash about it because it's tattooed literally in my skin. So
Mm.
I can't I can't sit back and be like, no, 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 no. But I'm very proud of where I come, where my family is from, and where what we represent. And I want people to know that. So when I want to put my inch on there, I want people to know that like there's more to the culture than some luchador, right? I'm not trying to say luchador is bad, right? I love Rey Mysterio. That's my favorite wrestler
Right.
of all time. But there's more to that, right? Like Conan was like his own character, bro. Like when he came out, he was nothing like Rey Mysterio or like Dean Malenko or you know La Parca, Psychosis, all those guys. I mean, he literally came out like, "Orale, viva la raza!" Right? He was that dude, right? Yo, we gonna get bowdy, bowdy, and rowdy, rowdy. Like that was my guy. And then like you had Eddie, right? Eddie Guerrero was his same way too, right? Here's this guy who lies and cheats and steals and just has no quarrels about it. He just knows he's gonna do it, and like people love that. So it's weird to me that like all of a sudden there's like these stereotypes of like who you can be and what you can do. Like I think about when Jesus, what was his name? Sin Cara. When Sin Cara versus Sin Cara happened, right? Sin Cara Negro versus Sin Cara Azul. And the one got his mask taken off and he became Hector. And like that's what he did. He rode around on a lowrider bike and he had Camacho, who was Tamatonga. He wasn't even Hispanic. When man was Polynesian, riding on the back. And I'm like, yo, it's just disrespectful. Like that's what you think of the culture. Like you saw
Yeah.
next Friday and you were just like, those guys, Baby Joker and Little Joker. That's who we want on our stage. So I was like, that's why I'm like, yo, we gotta show off that we're more than just that.
Yeah, because even with the promotions and you see a bunch of black, or no matter what race they are, but everybody, it's like so many different characters and just being your own authentic self. And that's what I like to bring, just my own authentic self. You can't label me, you can't put me in no bubble, like you can't put me in no box. Like, and that's, I got the keys for a reason because it's limitless to what I could do. Even if I don't even think I could do it, I could wind up doing it because it's just like, yeah. So it's like, Like, I want to do the whole yards of wrestling is something that is big in my heart. It's always been, it got me through my life, like how it got most people. I always used to like run to wrestling. That was like my escape.
Hmm.
I was the only one. Like I got older, my friends and my cousins, they like, oh, you still watch wrestling? I'm like, yeah, I still watch wrestling. And then it made me feel like an outsider in a certain type of way, but it just showed me like how I'm different and what I set my what I set just how I want to set my life and my goals, what I'm gonna do next and everything because I had plenty of lives. I've been through a lot of things. So it's like I know like I'm 27 right now. So it's like, I know I could have been doing a lot of other things, but I'm here doing wrestling, something I always felt like I could do as a child, but I didn't feel like it was really possible for me to do as where I'm from and who my family is and everything. So it's like being a generational curse breaker and just living up to being just the best that I could be, how I was born to be, and exceeding that. And that's what I want to do in wrestling. When it goes to like the Boys and Girls Club, I was a Boys and Girls Club member when I was a kid. Um, Going out to the schools. I have a son that's 10 years old that I influence. I'm showing him a different way of different life than what I was brought up in. So it's just like just to be able to like put that light on the world, like inside the ring and outside the ring, because like, I'm a cool guy and everything as I look at myself, like my character wise. And but me personally, like I never had wanted to be compared to other people. I always wanted to be myself and just like people ask me why all the time. And that's how I got my name, Ykies. Because people like, oh, why you do this and why you do that? I'm like, because I wanted to. That's what I wanted to do. Oh, you're not doing this like the other people. Like I got brothers. They like, oh, you're not doing this like your brothers or your cousin or this person or that person. I'm like, well, what that mean? I'm supposed to do what they doing?
Yeah.
Oh, you like, like I'm not about to. I always had told myself I was gonna be different, and then as the more I've been exposed to other things in the real life, I've come to terms exactly on what I will do and what I won't do. So I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be a part of no system, no statistic. I'm not about to be another one that's this or that. Like I had a son at a young age, but like I was like, I always wanted to be a wrestler. If I didn't have a son, I'd probably be out here being on WWE. And I felt that way. I had my son when I was a teenager. So I'm like, I was like 16, 17. So I'm like, oh, like here I am 10 years later. Never been an athlete like on the team or anything, and I'm just like showing myself I could do it, showing my son I could do it, showing my mother, my family, everybody who's seen me be a different way and see me doing this, they know.
S- See, and that's the beauty of like wrestling is that there's so many different stories and people getting together, right? Like I'll be real, man. I I was a high school athlete and then I went to college and wrestled and then I joined the military and then like when I got out and I graduated college, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do now. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just go work this corporate 9 to 5 and see what happens. And like it was bad, it was boring, it was deteriorating my mental health. And I got out and I worked for another company that allowed me to travel around from like different grocery stores to different grocery stores. Um, and I ran into a dude who was wearing a rated R superstar beanie and
Mm.
come to find out that this person worked in the dark arts, not quite in the professional levels. If you picking up what I'm putting down, anybody who's watched this show for some time knows exactly what I'm talking about. And then so like I was working with them for like a few months, and then I got pointed in the direction of like, well, if you want to take this seriously, this is where you got to be, and you got to work hard. Like that, okay, I'm gonna do it. And then I did. I joined. I got trained up, and then I was like, let's go have fun. And work wherever I can go work at. And it's been a trip for like for me, it's only been 5 years. But you mentioned that you're 27. I mean, I'm turning 39 in September.
Wow.
So
I
like
would
yeah,
never guess that.
so I'm like, oh, I'm hella old, but I was like, I get so excited about pro wrestling. It's like
Hmm.
the way I see pro wrestling is I imagine how kids feel about Christmas morning. Like when you walk downstairs and you're so excited because you're getting all these gifts from Santa. And for me, that's wrestling. Like I talk about wrestling, I light up, and people like I remember like in 2020, I was on TikTok like major, bro. Like I hit 1,000 followers and I started like going live, and people would ask me wrestling questions and they would just watch. And I would watch it back too. Like I would just light up, talk about wrestling. I'm like, yo, I'm so excited about this and that's going on, blah 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 blah. And they're like, well, why don't you try? And I was like, I kind of am, but because of COVID, like I really can't do anything. So I'm gonna try to figure this out. And yeah, so now my daughter gets to watch me, kind of like how you are, and see that like, oh, like it doesn't matter how old you are, as long as you get started and you try, like that's
Right.
all that matters.
That's crazy. Because I've done a lot of things. I wanted to be a music artist. I wanted to be a wrestler. The wrestling was always my first dream. So I'm like, I always wanted to do that. But then I was just like, how am I gonna get up and be able to like? I had Google. I was Googling wrestling school. Like I was Googling MCW when I was younger, but I could never get in contact with them. And then like when I got older, I was like, you know what? I was working in this little business job. I was working in a bank, and we used to always have to email. And I think I was in school for IT and all that at one point in my life. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna email them. And I emailed them. Never in my life would I ever email anybody. Like, and I emailed them. And then they was like, hey, yeah, classes had just started up, but we have another class coming up in April. This was in 2022.
Mm.
And I was like, with the payment options. And I had just like my life had just took a different turn for the worse. Like my car had got totaled, everything was happening. I was like, oh my goodness. I was found out I was having another child. But I was like, fuck all that. I don't know if we can cuss or not, but yeah. Excuse my
100% you
language for the young ones out here.
can.
But I was like, fuck that. I'm about to put down this money because this is something I always want to do. And I was in this mood where it's like, okay, whatever I say I'm gonna do it. And I did it. And then they was just like, I was Googling on YouTube, wrestling schools, what they learning and everything. And one was like, I think I definitely remember who it was. It was Al Snow. I seen his seminar, and I got to meet him and go to a real life seminar, and it's like that was crazy.
Yeah, Al Snow is such a beautiful mind for the business. Like I love like watching his stuff on YouTube in a way that like he breaks things down is so good. And I'm like, bruh, I was like, if I could find a way to bring him on this podcast, I would ask him a ridiculous amount of questions that would just be regarding like improvement wise and character development and like understanding like
Mhm.
the psychology behind things. I would never ask him on the show while we are live, but I would ask
Yeah.
him behind the scenes because that's important. But like, yeah, no, like it's funny because like for me, when 2020 hit and the world stopped, um, I started watching Santino Brothers, and
Mm,
watching Joey Munoz explain how to go over the top rope or go in the middle rope or, you know, how to throw a hip toss, how to do an arm drag, like how to do an Alita, right? So like to do all these like random things, like I was just watching him and just learning. And I remember like when I brought him on the podcast and had a conversation with him, I was blown away that I legitimately was having a conversation with a guy who I watched on YouTube and just like was picking his brain while he's here talking to me.
mhm. I'm like,
So
there's different types of levels to a mark.
yeah.
I like, I guess, like, one of the owners always be saying in my school, he be like, "Well, we all are wrestling fans. We all are Mark, but it's just like, but I know it's levels to it. Like I'm
Oh
not.
yeah.
I'm on the fan. Like I'm gonna always be a fan. Always be a child in the inside of wrestling because it started when I was a baby. So I'm like, there's things that I've been doing my whole entire life, but to actually get in a ring and do it, oh, it's a big reality check. I'm like, hold on there.
100%.
It's a big reality check. Like I remember my first drill where it was like it was crazy. I was doing I tell you I never been an athlete like played on the team wise, but like around my neighborhood, like we always did everything as far as football, but it was always like streets football. We'll be playing football in the street. We'll be
Yeah.
playing basketball, um, wrestling all the time. Like we used to wrestle, used to have a bed, a mattress outside the day. Anyway, so it was like the fundamentals part I never really learned. So I was like, I definitely have to, before I go in there, I have to like get myself physically and mentally prepared for this. So like wrestling, what one thing about chasing your dreams is that you have to make sacrifices as far as, oh, I know I wouldn't have did this back then, but I'm not the same person I was back then because back then I was always talking about it. Now I'm actually doing it. And to actually get it done, like you gotta put down that money. You gotta make them drops. Like, sheets. I used to like you could go out and spend your money on like you could go out to the club or to the casino, whatever, and we'll spend like 200, $300. Oh, why not get no new gear? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather invest in myself in this, invest in myself in that. If I know, and I know for sure I'm getting this money back. I'm getting my money worth. So like my first time paying a big lump sum other than on a car and my rent was on wrestling school. Like you don't get no scholarship for that.
No.
No scholarship for wrestling school. And then I had paid like a big lump sum of money on the fitness training. And I'm like, sheesh, like the trainer they was advertising like, oh, there's free courts and everything. You get up there, but you got paid $30 for the class, and it's called Fit Fight. It's out
Mm.
here in Capitol Heights, Maryland, where I'm from. But yeah, and it was a. I went there and everything, and he told me how much it was after the class, and I was like, "What? I thought it was free." Too. Ain't nothing free, but I put that work in. I put my money there. I put my money where it's worth, and I put that work in, and it's just like it changed my mindset. It showed me how to work out, and I was able to translate that like with my breathing techniques and just the mindset when I got into wrestling to start my basic class. But shit, I don't care what I paid for, what training I did, nothing prepared me for that first.
I think that's the one thing a lot of people don't realize is that blow up drills is a real thing, and like you have got to be conditioned when you're like in pro wrestling. Like you have got to be conditioned, and the crazier part is that no matter how many miles you run, no matter how many rows you row, like meters you row, no matter how many stairs you climb, like when you hit that ring and you hit those ropes for the first time and you do a drop down, you jump over another dummy and you do another drop down, it kills your wind immediately.
Mhm.
Immediately. And you're like, you're struggling. And you're like, oh no, I have a lot of work to do to get where I need to get to.
Mhm. It was it was so many people in my class when we started, and I was like, I was the only one that actually survived everything. I said, I don't give a F what y'all say to me or what y'all got me doing. I didn't pay for this. I done been through a lot of things just to get right here. I'm not about to turn around. I came too far to turn back now. So I'm like, I put my like who I am and who I was at that time. I left him at the door. When I had threw up one time my blood drill. What drill was it? It was I cannot think of the name, but it was the bag drill. That's what we call it. Just the bag drill. You do the burpees over, run over it, hit the ropes. You gotta do that a couple of times, do it in the ring, then come out and did like 25 burpees. It's like a WWE tryout type of drill they prepare us for. And I threw up and I could not stop throwing up. Like I threw up my life. Like I was crying with the throw up, and I was like, I was in the bathroom to myself, and I looked at myself, and I looked at my face. I'm like, I never seen my face like this before, but I was like, this is what I want, and I don't care how many times I gotta do it. So like the next couple of months later, when the blow drill we had did the same one, I was like, I'm not gonna throw up. I'm gonna get through it. And then the next time I did, I was like, oh, I'm beast in this now. I'm like, yeah, you had me fucked up. Ain't nobody gonna see me like that again.
I remember like when I was working and we stuck a dummy in the middle of our ring, and then you'd have to hit the rope, do a burpee or do a drop down, pop over, do another drop down, hit the rope, and we were doing that. We were hitting back and forth like 10 times. And I remember like the first time doing it, I was trying to tell people like, yo, it's because the one thing that people don't tell you is that wrestling is like, yeah, you have to be in shape, but you also have to like understand pacing. And so I would tell people like, yo, take your time, don't rush, work fast, but don't rush this, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
so like I was hitting, and the first time I did it, it was like no problem. And then the second time I did it, I was like, I'm even better. And then the third time I remember doing it, I was like, yeah, I'm never getting winded again in this thing. And I remember the first time watching a kid try to run at the same pace that I did, and I was like, oh, he's done. He's done. And sure enough, fourth drop down, just straight vomit just coming out of him. And I was like, yeah, bro. Like, no, 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 no. Or we did the I think we called it the 5 minute drill where you're just hitting ropes for 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And I think people think that like, oh, like it's a short distance, I can go forever. I'm like, yeah, you probably shouldn't do that either. Like,
Yeah.
yo, like pacing is everything. So being a personal trainer, I developed this one course and I call it the squared circle. It's all wrestling inspired. And you're doing like 7 different activities for a minute a piece. And you're moving from station to station to station. And the thing is I tell everybody, I'm like, yo, this is not a marathon. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. You guys are you're here for these positions for a minute. So be ready.
Yeah.
And people are like, they're like, but shit's body weight, bro. I don't have to do anything. Like, look at me. I'm just gonna do 60 squats. I'm like, okay, cool. But the next thing that we're doing is we're jumping on a box. So
Hmm.
yeah, enjoy. And like, the look at the feet after like usually like the third or fourth event, they're like, is this it? Are we done? I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, we're done with this round. We have 2 more rounds to
Yeah.
go. Enjoy. They're like, oh no. Like, no, because it's all about pacing and conditioning. Like, you're gonna get your wind well if you work on conditioning.
Yeah. Because I remember that same time in that drill, they was like, imagine this was WrestleMania, you in the main event. Are you going to just stop and quit? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not gonna stop and quit. But I think it takes like a level, it takes humility, it takes like humble and having an open mind to understand and to know like, okay, we here to learn, we here to get the information, we here so we can be great. Like I didn't walk in the door great. I walked in the door some shit, did not know shit about wrestling, never been an athlete on the sports team, shared a locker room before. So it's just like I'm right here. I'm really like putting myself like in the middle of the street. Like I'm like whatever happens, happens. I'm gonna follow this journey, this plan takes me. Have an open mind to it. and be like, not take nothing personal unless somebody put their hand. So,
Uh, so, talk to me, man. What's one of the hardest lessons you've had to learn being in the business?
um, okay. It's like it's talking back. Like I was that child. I will always have the last word. Like you can't tell me nothing. And I know it all, stuff like that. Uh, once I feel like, like if I feel like I didn't do anything wrong and everything, stuff like that. And it's just like, it's not even about none of that. And like, I think one time I had, this was a very humbling moment for me because, like I said, I'm from where I'm from. We fight every day. Somebody get killed every day. My brother then got killed. You know what I'm saying? Like I grew up as a fighter. So I'm like, there's a big difference between real life and this entertainment. And not only that, like, like you can't just really just pop somebody, even though we in a ring, popping, 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 popping. And there's a thing called receipts. You gotta take that receipt. I popped somebody and my reflex, well, it was because they told me to do it, and I did it. But I guess it hurt them in the way they felt something. And it was like it wasn't in no disrespectful way. I thought like, like okay, I said do it. This was when in my I was coming up days. Like I was green, still green, but I'm learning. But yeah, so I did that and like they got the swinging on me. I'm just like my natural duck dodging came into play. I'm like, oh, oh, oh. And then somebody that was training with us, that I respect, was like, just take it. And I was like, let me take it because in reality, in the back of my head, I know exactly like how this could go. You know, I know this place could get shut down. I know that it could go a whole different way for me or the guy. So just like like it's not that serious, and I'm not phased by it, but I learned from it. So I feel like that taught me something. It taught me respect in a different way than what I how I was before.
Yeah. No, I I understand that. Yo, that's funny though. Hey, so we're gonna jump into my favorite part of the Three Count Podcast, which is just called the Three Count Podcast, 10 count questions. And Mr. Ykies, this is how it works. I'm gonna fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast, and whatever your answer is, that is your answer.
Okay, let's go.
All right, so we put on the imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing! And in the words of my favorite color commentator, Mike Goldberg, here we actually should say play by play commentator, Mike Goldberg, here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown.
Favorite TV show?
Hmm. Hey, I don't have one. I guess wrestling.
Hey, that's fine. Hey, that works, man. You can say Raw. Like, it's fine. Like, you choose SmackDown. You know, Raw's your favorite TV show. That works still. Waffles or pancakes?
Oh, pancakes.
Favorite movie?
Norbit.
Let's go. Apple or Android?
Apple.
Favorite cartoon?
Favorite cartoon is Johnny Bravo.
Hey there, pretty mama. DC or Marvel?
Oh, jeez. I like the X-Men.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Marvel it is. Favorite podcast?
Favorite podcast. Hmm. We're gonna do it for the three count right now. Bow.
Yeah, I like it. Nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
Who I want to see? Who haven't been on here? Um, I want to see Miami Mike on here. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I I have definitely been shooting for that one for a while. I'm not gonna front. We definitely gonna bring Miami Mike on. I definitely want to do that. Last but not least, my favorite question asked every person who comes on this podcast: favorite curse word.
But
Yes, 100%. All day, all day. Listen, man, those are all my questions I have for you. So the last thing I need you to do is let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
you can find YYY on all platforms at That's Ykies, DATSYKIES. Why? That's Ykies. Yep. Social media. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, X. That's Ykies. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Hell yeah. So he told you where you can find him, and he made it very simple. You can find him on all of his social media platforms. So go out there, give him all the follows, likes, and shares, comments, subscribes, do all that stuff. And like every great part of a wrestling match, we gotta take this home because this is the Three Count Podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And like I said, as every good shirt, but it's never about me. It's about who's entering. So who's entering? You see him right there. That's why Keys. You guys know what to do. Tune in to the next episode and be there. Or you're legitimately following us on all of our social media platforms. You're subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're following us on Spotify. You're checking us out on Amazon Music. You're even paying attention to us on Apple Podcasts, leaving us 5-star Frog Splash reviews. You're even checking us out on that dumb app with the stupid jingle that goes iHeartRadio or whatever it is. Checking us out on foryourwear.com. You're buying our merch. You're even checking us out on prowrestlingtees.com. Where else you can purchase our merch? You're doing all that stuff. You're telling your mom about it. You're telling your dad about it. Your uncles, your aunties, your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, your best friends, your enemies, because we love haters too. You're doing all that
Yes.
stuff, or really you're just waiting for this episode to end. You're waiting for the outro, and then you're choosing another episode to listen to. Kawaii. What's going on? It is Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And what we need from you guys is just kind of show some support, right? We want you guys to go to our YouTube channel at the 3 Count Podcast, go onto our Twitch channel, 3 Count Pod, or even our Facebook page, 3 Count Podcast, and just give us a like, follow, subscribe, even give us a comment, right? Do all that cool stuff. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your enemies, right? Or you can even come talk to us and just chat us up, right? Find us on Twitter at 3count_pod. Find us on IG and on TikTok at 3 Count Pod. Go ahead and leave us those comments. We want to hear from all of you guys. We're going to keep putting on videos and stuff like that. We want to keep making this content better, so we want your guys' support. Also, if you guys want to, go support us at prowrestlingtees.com/the 3 Count Podcast, or even find us on foryourwear.com. Give us the support. Show us your guys' love, because we want to give it right back to y'all. So, in the meantime, love y'all.